The Meyer Guide to Buying a Home. A simple, step-by-step guide to buying your next home. Jim Meyer. For anyone who wants to cut out some of the home buying frustration. Real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care, it is about the safest investment in the world. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Table of Contents. Foreword, 2. Introduction, 4. Chapter 1, Education, 7. Chapter 2, Financing Your New Home, 14. Chapter 3, Choosing a Real Estate Agent, 22. Chapter 4, Finding the Right House, 31. Chapter 5, Writing the Offer, 34. Chapter 6, Negotiating the Offer, 43. Chapter 7, Once in Contract, 47. Chapter 8, The Appraisal, 52. Chapter 9, The Inspections, 57. Chapter 10, The Finish Line, 62. Chapter 11, Let's Start Working Together, 67. Chapter 12, The Meyer Team, 71. Chapter 13, Miscellaneous Information, 73. Chapter 14, Joining the Meyer Team, 77. Definitions, 83. Client Review, 97. Author's Contact Information, 99. 1. Foreword. Thank you very much for reading this book. My intention for writing this book is to educate you as you make your way through the home buying process. This short book is meant to help you as you pursue the American dream of home ownership and to pick up where some of the online education has left off. This book is meant for you to keep with you not only as you look at homes, but as you write an offer and do your inspections. People in the past have said, "I wish I had something like this before I bought my last house." Hopefully, this book has come just in time to make things a little easier for you. Introduction. This book is separated into easy-to-read chapters. After reading the book once, you probably want to read it a second time and study the glossary. You probably have many questions and will come up with more questions after reading the book. As you go house hunting, you may put one family member in charge of holding onto the book and referring to it as you continue your journey. First off, who am I? My name is Jim, or James, Meyer. I am a licensed broker associate with Re/Max Gold. Re/Max Gold has 60+ offices all over California. For 20+ years, I have been a full-time realtor registered, having started out with Century 21 in the late 1990s. Afterward, I moved to Re/Max and now have my own team named as Meyer Team. I have held a broker's license for over 9 years. Thanks to a debilitating disease, walking is very difficult, and going upstairs by myself is pretty much impossible. Fortunately, my awesome team makes serving our clients a breeze as I work from my home office and they go out into the field. The setup we have is extremely efficient and my little problem may be a blessing as our clients get top-notch service from my team who meet them in person, show them properties, get inspections done, etc. While I handle things from my phone and computer. But enough about me, let's find you a home. Buy land, they're not making it anymore. Mark Twain. Chapter 1, Education. Hello and welcome aboard as you begin your journey towards home ownership. Buying a home, especially if it is your first home, can be a very stressful experience. Once you finally close the transaction, the benefits will be so rewarding that you will forget all the headaches and heartaches you experienced along the way. Whenever you think about quitting and just waiting until next year or when the time is right, slap yourself and say, "I am going to do this." It's never a good idea to pay someone else's mortgage, so it's a good idea to sacrifice any way you know how to make this work. Along the way, you will need some help. Your real estate education is very important, and this book, if you read it in its entirety, could majorly impact the entire experience. You first want to decide where you want to move, then decide what size home you need. Then, figure out what a home like this will cost you. As far as where you want to buy, that seems like a simple question, but I have seen many times where a family thinks a 50-mile commute is no problem. But after a few months of driving 90 minutes each way during peak commute hours, they decide they made a mistake. You want to pick the town you want to live in carefully and test out the commute at different times of the day. I probably don't need to tell you that the traffic situation is probably not getting any better in the near future, and a 90-minute commute could become a 2-hour commute in a few years. Additionally, a town that is just a few miles out of the way may have much more affordable housing, but if it is accessed via a one-lane road that constantly has an accident on it, then you could suffer major regrets sooner rather than later. Of course, you want to check the crime statistics and look up Megan's Law site for sex offenders. Drive the neighborhoods you are interested in during the day and night. You may become uncomfortable when you see the number of abandoned shopping carts and groups of people hanging out at midnight. This could motivate you to spend just a little more money or purchase a bit smaller home in a more desirable neighborhood. Even if you do not have children in school, it's always a good idea to check out the nearby schools. If you purchase in a desirable school district, then when it comes time to sell, your chances of a quick sale for top dollar can become much greater. As I write this, the top 5 real estate websites are Zillow.com, Trulia.com, YahooHomes.com, Realtor.com, and Redfin.com. When you go to these sites, you usually will find the same homes listed and can scroll down to find schools, shopping, tax info, and of course specifics about the house. When searching for homes, you can set it up, so you get notified when something new pops up. Home buyers can easily get confused when they see homes listed as pre-foreclosures. These homes are not necessarily on the market. Oftentimes, these are homes where the owners have gotten behind on their payments and are in the process of refinancing or renegotiating the loan with their lender. There are also homes on auction websites that look too good to be true. Oftentimes, after you read the fine print, you discover that the deal is not that great. Usually, the auction sites tack on a 5% fee on top of the winning bid price. They also may expect you to purchase as is when your lender would never loan on that particular property with its missing kitchen. You should also read up on the subject. Here are a few other books you might want to look at. Home Buying for Dummies by Eric Tyson, Ask by Elise Glink. 106 Common Mistakes Home Buyers Make and How to Avoid Them by Gary Eldred. Buying a Home: The Missing Manual by Nancy Connor. One place where you may not get the best advice is TV shows. It can be fun to watch the fix and flip shows. It is just not very realistic to think that you can look at 3 houses, decide which one you want, and then magically go and buy that house with almost no negotiation and no competition. Of course, you will also educate yourself by talking to friends, neighbors, and relatives. As they give you advice, please make sure they are giving you first-hand experience and not gossip. The best thing that an acquaintance can do is recommend you to good professionals of whom you can work with. You should not stop educating yourself from day one of the hunts until you change the locks and move into your new home. There will always be a new app, site, or book, so don't stop looking for resources and don't ever think one resource will give you everything. So, what is the point of this first chapter? Don't ever stop educating yourself. If someone tells you that they have all the answers, you might want to start talking to someone else. Jim is smart, kind and considerate. He listens well and has his clients' interests at heart. If you want to sell or trade by real estate, he's your man. Sue Goodrich, Green Day Power. Chapter 2, Financing Your New Home. Now, you've got an idea of where you want to live, it's time to see if you can afford that home. You know what you are paying today for rent and you know what your income is. If your credit score is good and you have been on the job for 2 years, You should be able to qualify to buy if you have some money in the bank. There are many sites where you can fill out an online application for a loan. These sites can tempt you with promises of quick and easy qualification. You also may have an idea of what your payment is by filling in a few bits of info online. The problem with doing things online and not talking to a live person is that you can miss some important information. In my opinion, it's still better to find a local loan officer who will sit down at their desk as you sit across from them and look eye to eye and figure out how to change you from renter to homeowner. A good loan officer can look at your credit score, your credit report and your application and tell you how much home you can afford, what the down payment will be and what your closing costs will be. That last part is critical, and it is easy to overlook. Do you always want to get an estimate of how much your out-of-pocket expenses will be when you close escrow? There are down payment assistance programs that can get you into a house with as little as 1% down. But you also need to factor in the closing costs. So, if you buy a $400,000 home and you qualify to get in with a $4,000 down payment, remember you may also have to come up with another $10,000 in closing costs. There are down payment assistance programs that can help with the closing costs, but you need to make sure that your loan officer answers the very important question, how much cash do I need at the close of escrow? You may have heard that a seller can credit your money for closing costs. Yes, this is true. The problem with this expectation is that if you are buying in a seller's market and competing with multiple buyers, your seller may not be interested in doing a seller credit. You may say, well, we can bump up the price to cover those costs. Here, the problem is that you may already be at the maximum price that the home will appraise, or even beyond the maximum. Another idea is to bump up the interest rate a little. If your lender can do this and then pay for your closing costs, then your monthly payment will be a little bit higher, but you will be paying those closing costs over the next 30 years instead of in the next 30 days. As long as you enter into this with your eyes wide open, thinking and asking about closing costs, you will not have too many or hopefully no nasty surprises late in the game. Buyer's closing costs. What should you expect to pay for in your closing costs? Appraisal, $500 to $600. Usually your lender will take a credit card number from you and they will order this as soon as an offer is accepted. If you are using a VA loan, the buyer does not pay for the appraisal. Lender fees, expect to spend 1 to 2% of the purchase price on lender fees to pay for the loan application, processing, underwriting, etc. There is also mortgage insurance and VA funding fees. Make sure that you talk to your loan officer about these fees. Property insurance, you will be required to pay for a year of homeowner's insurance, which averages around $1,200. Property tax reserves, most lenders will make you pay a few months of property taxes up front at the close of escrow. Real estate agent fees, it is common for the seller to pay for the real estate agent's fees. Some agents may ask you to pay a transaction fee. If I were you, I would refuse to pay this as an agent gets paid enough, and if they want to hire a transaction coordinator to handle the paperwork, this should not be your burden. Thus, look out for this as it can be hidden in a contract that you will be asked to sign. Title fees and escrow fees, depending on what county you live in, these costs can be paid for by the buyer, the seller, or can be split. It's easy to do an internet search to find out what the custom is in your area. Your escrow fee can be around $1,000 while your title insurance can be $1,500 or more. Transfer taxes, certain cities have very high transfer tax fees. Generally, in California, you will have a transfer tax of $1.10 per thousand paid for by the seller. Check online to see if the city you are buying in, either it has an additional transfer fee, and find out if the buyer or seller usually pay for this. We have been working with the Meyer team for many years and they know how to get the job done for you. No matter your circumstance, they will remain committed to helping you. Doug Pine and Christy Jones Caliber Home Loan. Here are a few questions to ask a potential loan officer. 1. How long have you been in the business? 2. How many loans have you closed? 3. Should I use a conventional, VA, FHA or private money loan? 4. How fast can we get the appraisal done? 5. How soon can we remove the loan contingency? 6. If I wanted to make an offer, could you write me a pre-approval letter right now? 7. Can you take me through the loan process in a nutshell? 8. If I need a pre-approval letter on a weekend, is that a problem? 9. Can you give me a list of the fees you charge? 10. Can I call, email and text you at odd hours 7 days a week? I met Jim Meyer in 1995. I was so amazed at his energy and dedication to taking personal care of his clients. His work ethic has remained the same over all these years. Brenda Jones Placer Title Company. Chapter 3, Choosing a Real Estate Agent. Do you really need to find an agent and be loyal to them? Or should you just stay on the hunt until the right home pops up and then work with the agent who is representing the seller? Before you answer that question, answer this one: if you were getting divorced, would you want the same attorney representing you and your soon-to-be or ex-spouse? If you want an agent who will be looking out for you, it's probably best to find someone who is not also working for the seller. You want someone who has some experience but not some hotshot who brags about the 30 homes they sold last month. The benefit to working with a brand new agent is that they usually are eager to serve. They are not as busy as those who have built up a large client list, and they are hungry. If you find a new agent who does not like to admit they are new and does not ask for help, then problems can arise. If you work with someone who admits they are new and teams up with an old pro, or has guidance readily available, then you will have the best of both worlds working for you. If you go online and look for homes, oftentimes you will see the picture and phone number of an agent associated with a particular property. This agent is not always the agent who represents the seller of that home, the listing agent. This could be an agent who has paid to advertise on the site that you are searching on. This person may not have ever sold a home in their life. Most buyers do not search for an agent. They search for a house and stumble across an agent. Oftentimes, they later say that they will never work with that agent again. Don't be one of those buyers. Be proactive. One way to look for an agent is to go to open houses. There is a good chance that the listing agent will not be there. Someone else from that agent's team or office will probably be holding the house open. You should pick that agent's brain and take their contact info. When you look at houses, you should give each one a score from 1 to 10. Why not go to 10 open houses, take each agent's card and give them a rating of 1 to 10. Then, at the end of the day, call your favorite agent back and ask them if they have time to help you find a home. While you should not criticize an agent who does not work on weekends, and you should also avoid working with that kind of agent. You need a professional who will be available when you need them. Once you find an agent of whom you want to work with, it is good to be loyal to them. They should be helping you to find a home, and if you run across something you like, you should contact your agent immediately. A good agent will run out to a new listing and make you a video on their phone if you can't make it out to see the house, especially if time is of the essence to get an offer in. Even if you find a home that is for sale by owner, FSBO, you want to ask your agent to represent you. Most often the FSBO seller will pay a commission to your agent, and the home does not have the exposure that other homes have. You have a shot at getting a deal. If your agent does not respond to calls, texts and emails in a timely manner, does not explain things properly, makes you feel that you are being rushed, or proves that they really don't know what they are doing, then feel free to fire the agent. You should not have to sign a long-term contract with a buyer's agent. You may be asked to sign an agreement that says you will exclusively work with an agent. You probably do not want to do this until you have been shown a few homes. Once you have been with an agent for an entire day and your comfort level is high, go ahead and sign an agreement. But don't do this before you have spent quality time with the agent. Another way to find an agent is to ask friends, neighbors, and co-workers for recommendations. Listen to what they say. Susie bought a house and she used so and so is much different than so and so just helped Susie negotiate a great deal on a home and Susie loves that agent. Ask Susie what she likes about that agent. Interview that agent. Most people won't recommend an agent unless they were truly happy with the way they were treated. A referral from someone you know can save you a lot of heartaches. You may be driving the neighborhood you like, and you may see that the same agent is listing a number of homes in a small area. If you call the number on the sign, chances are you will be sent to a buyer's agent since that listing agent is too busy to handle all the calls. It's good to interview several prospective agents before deciding. You should ask them how they would price your home, how they would market it, how long it might take to sell it, and how much money you will put in your pockets at the close of escrow. Be careful not just to hire the person who brags about being number one. I made the mistake when selling 2 condos that I owned out of the area. I thought that choosing a top producer would guarantee success. When it came time to close, my top producer agent disappeared and I had to deal directly with the buyer's agent. My advice is to make sure the agent you work with is a full-time agent with no other job, or that they are teamed up with someone else who fills in the gaps that they leave. Knowledge can be learned, but it's tough to fake enthusiasm and hunger. You should be working with an agent who is hungry to serve you and get you top dollar in an ethical and honest manner. You should be working with someone who loves to learn, to grow, and to please you. Even if the agent is not full of experience, as long as they are connected to people who will make sure they do everything correctly and that your best interests are forefront, then you should be okay. Here are a few questions to ask a potential agent. 1. How long have you been in the business? 2. How many homes have you sold? 3. Do you have a lender you recommend? 4. What inspections should we get and when do we get them? 5. Do you have inspectors you usually work with? 6. If I wanted to make an offer right now, what do we do next? 7. Can you take me through the home buying process in a nutshell? 8. If I want to go see a home, how far in advance do I set up an appointment? 9. Are you going to try and charge me any fees? 27. 10. Can I call, email and text you at odd hours 7 days a week? 11. How am I protected if I want to back out of the transaction? 12. What kind of a deposit should I put down? Working with the Meyer team, not only do you get the vast experience that Jim and his team bring to the table, you get a great negotiator working on your behalf who has a knack for sprinkling in a great sense of humor to break up the sometimes tense and nerve-wracking moments that buying or selling may bring. Altogether, you have honest, hard-working people who love what they do and know how to close the deal. Joey LaFon. 30. Chapter 4, Finding the Right House. By now, you are probably getting listings from multiple sources on the internet. Your email is probably flooded with links to homes for sale and you are getting the same homes sent to you via different senders. You should also be driving the neighborhoods you are interested in, looking for sale and for sale by owners signs. It's a good idea to write down the address and phone numbers and text them to your agent to follow up on immediately. Another smart thing to do is to stop by garage sales and see if the resident is planning on moving out. Possibly these are tenants. Your agent can track down the owner and send them a letter or make a phone call. You just might find a home that is not on the market yet. Certain sites such as Zillow will show you coming soon listings. In one particular situation, a client told me about a coming soon listing that I did not know about. I contacted the listing agent and we sold the house before it hit the open market. While the listing agent may have sold the home for more money, if she put the house on the MLS, multiple listing service. We were very lucky to negotiate the sale before any other buyer even entered the home. You might even ask your agent to send out postcards or knock on doors in the area you want to live. There are many ways that agents can find phone numbers, even cell numbers of the owners of these homes. It's rare to find an agent who is willing or even able to do all of these things, but why not ask? Once a home comes on the market, you want to check it out as soon as possible. Your agent should be able to tell you if it is owner-occupied, vacant, or maybe tenant-occupied, needing a 24-hour notice. Sometimes you will be told that the home won't be available for showing until the day of the open house. You will want to show up at the open house and see who else is looking at your house. If this seems to be the home for you, then you need to find out when the seller is looking at offers and you need to get yours in prior to the deadline. If you are going out to see multiple homes in one day, it's good to have all the pertinent info about the house printed out and in your hand when you go to see each home. You should take notes and give each home a score from 1 to 10. You can give the first home a score of 5 and adjust the next homes accordingly. Once you decide that you are going to make that offer, you also want to see if there are any disclosures and/or inspection reports available. If there are inspection reports and you know that certain repairs should be done to the home, you should find out if the seller is willing to make those repairs. Chapter 5, Writing the Offer. At this point, you have found the home you would love to own. You know what you can afford to pay, and you are ready to write an offer. First of all, your agent should be in contact with the listing agent and should find out what the seller is expecting. Here are a few questions to ask the listing agent. 1. Do you have any offers? 2. Do you have any inspection reports and/or disclosures? 3. How soon does the seller want to close? 4. Does the seller need to rent back? 5. Do you want the escrow to be with a certain company? 6. If we had a short time for inspections and other contingencies, would that help our chances? 7. When offers come in, are you responding or waiting until a specific date/time? 8. Will the seller give buyers the opportunity to come back with their highest and best offer, or are they just accepting their favorite offer? 9. Are there certain things that you expect in an offer? 10. Do you think we will have to go above asking price? At this point, let's assume the listing agent has told your agent that the seller has 2 offers, 1 is above asking price and 2 more are expected to come in by tomorrow. They are giving you a 5 p.m. cut-off tomorrow night. They want you to try and make your best offer so that the seller can just accept the offer that they like best without having to go back and forth. You are going to want to check in again tomorrow at 4 p.m. to see if you have a shot at this, but you might as well get started with your offer. Let's assume it is a hot seller's market and you need to come in very strong. If you are buying in a different market, it will be much easier. First off, the home we are talking about has an asking price of $339,000. You know from experience that everything in this price range goes fast, but there are no sold comps that justify a price above $340,000. You know that a month from now, several pending homes will close and a $350,000 price for this floor plan in this subdivision could easily be justified. You find out that your agent was not told exactly what the completion is, but you heard that a $350,000 offer is probably what you need to bring in. If that agent is saying the same thing to everyone, then maybe you need to go up to $351,000. I would suggest $351,500 be on the safe side. At this point, you may consider promising to go above the appraised value if you can. A lot of people write really high offers, knowing the appraisal will come in low. Listing agent combat this by asking you to guarantee a certain amount above appraised value, should the appraisal come in low. If you can handle this, then go for it. More than likely you are in this position because your competition has written a very high offer. Your offer may be lower, but if your completion does not include that guarantee in the offer, then your offer looks more serious. The type of loan matters. Of course, if you are competing with cash, you can easily be blown away. But oftentimes, a cash buyer will be conservative in their offering price and a seller will rather wait 30 days for your loan to go through if it means they are making more money. A buyer might have a private money loan that can close just as fast as cash. These look good but usually are used by investors who want to flip or rent the home, so they are most likely not going to be able to compete with you. Next is a conventional loan with 20% or more down. These are tough to compete with, but you can if you are working with a VA or FHA loan. A VA loan has no down payment and requires that the seller clear a pest report. While you may be a veteran and you may be turned down because of this type of loan, we have an idea that can help. No matter what kind of loan you are using, I highly recommend that you write a love letter. You should take a picture of everyone in the family including pets and write up an explanation as to why you love this house so much. You should explain how hard you have been working to be able to own your own home and let the sellers know how thankful you are for the opportunity to purchase their home. Some agents have laughed at these letters and say they don't even submit them. So, make sure that there is a notation in the offer that references the letter, so that it must be presented to the seller. To some sellers, the love letter means nothing at all. But to some, I can give you examples of specific sales. It makes all the difference in the word, especially if two offers of the exact same price and terms come in. Get your loan officer to write up a pre-approval letter for the exact amount you are offering. Do not just use the letter that says you are approved for $450,000 if you are offering $425,000 for obvious reasons. Find out if you can close fast, remove contingencies fast and get inspections done fast. If you are already approved and your lender can close in 21 days instead of 30 days, then you will start to look pretty good to the sellers. A decent sized deposit is good too. If everyone else is putting down 1%, why not put down a 2% deposit? When I sell a home from $300,000 to $500,000, I like to get my clients to put in a refundable earnest money deposit of $5,000. Sometimes, the seller will provide you with inspection reports. This usually occurs when another buyer has backed out. The reports must be disclosed to you. This can save many hundreds of dollars of yours. If you have seen all the reports that you believe you need to see and you are happy and will not want to renegotiate the price or ask for any repairs, then you might remove your inspection contingency when you write up the offer. This will give the sellers peace of mind and your offer will be that much stronger. Finally, you can ask your loan officer to contact the listing agent and tell them just how solid you are. This can make the seller and listing agent feel a little better too. You never know what will motivate a seller to go with you, so you might as well use every idea in the book. Ask your lender and realtor registered if they have other ideas. Some lenders promise to pay money to the seller if the deal does not close on time. Keep educating yourself as new ideas pop up, and so will I. If you do not like real estate, all you have to do is make hamburgers, build a business around that hamburger, and franchise it. Robert Kiyosaki. Chapter 6, Negotiating the Offer. Once the offer has been written, signed, and submitted, this is when you need an agent who is readily available to take the calls of the listing agent. Until you are in contract, you are at the mercy of the seller. Your agent should be on call to answer those last-minute questions and able to reach you instantly as you fine-tune the details of the deal. You don't want the seller and their agent thinking they want to go with that other offer because they communicate better. There will be times when a seller sends you a response on a multiple counter-offer form. This means that more than one offer is being responded to, and even if you accept their response, the seller could still choose another buyer. It's good for your agent to talk to the seller's agent and try to figure out how they can fine-tune the offer to make the seller happy. Sometimes this works, sometimes it does not work because you are competing with a buyer who is willing to pay much more than you are and who can close faster than you. You won't get an accepted offer every time you try. Maybe you lost out on a home you really wanted. You still have a slim chance of getting it, if things go wrong with the offer that was accepted. Your agent needs to ask the seller's agent if they will put you in first backup position. I always ask this and the listing agent always says, "Sure, we'll put you in backup." Then I respond by saying, "Can we put that in writing?" At this point, oftentimes they tell me that the seller decided they don't want to put anyone in the backup position. If you do not have it in writing, you do not have it at all. I have been successful, getting clients into homes by doing that one simple thing, getting the buyer and seller to sign a backup offer form. The takeaway from this chapter should be to work with an agent who knows how to negotiate, who listens to you and is good at communicating your wishes to the other side without revealing any of your secrets, like how much you would really be willing to pay, etc. It's amazing how some agents stay in the business while not communicating. We received 2 offers on a home recently and one buyer was willing to pay $21,000 above asking price. They agreed to pay $5,000 above appraised value if it came in low. When I reached out to the competing offer, that agent said, "Sorry, my client can't go any higher." We found out later that the client who can't go any higher did want to go higher and would have guaranteed $10,000 above appraised value, but the agent did not listen, and that client lost out to no fault of her own. Finally, you should be working with someone you feel you can trust. Tell your agent what you are willing to do and not do. If they are honest, they will work in your best interest. Don't work with an agent who tells you what to do. Work with someone who acts as an expert advisor, not a pusher salesperson. Your agent needs to be skilled in the art of selling when it comes to selling you to the other side, but they don't need to be some fast talker who makes you feel uncomfortable. If you lose a home and you think it's a situation like the one described above, do not hesitate to fire the agent, especially if you told them you were willing to do something, and they did not put it in writing. When this kind of thing happens, shame on that agent. If it happens a second time, then shame on you for staying in that bad relationship. Chapter 7, Once in Contract. Finally, you have written up an offer on your dream home and it has been accepted. Congratulations. What do you do next? First of all, make sure that you see the accepted offer. Make sure that the seller has signed and initialed everything properly. At this point, you will have to send in your deposit. Unless specified otherwise, you will have 72 hours to get your deposit into escrow. You can bring the check in by hand, you can mail it in, or you can wire the funds. If the deposit shows up late, the seller will typically give you a notice to perform whereby you usually will have 48 hours to perform or the seller can cancel the transaction. For the most part, the seller cannot cancel the transaction unless you fail to perform. So, at this point, the home is yours to lose. You will have deadlines to complete the appraisal, to do your inspections, to have the loan approved and to close the transaction. Your agent should give these deadlines so that you know them and won't be surprised at the last minute. You, your agent, the escrow company and the lender should all have a copy of the contract. The appraisal should be ordered right away. There are many strict rules governing the appraisal process, but the most important thing is to get the appraisal ordered ASAP. This is the duty of your loan agent. When I represent sellers, I always keep my eye on this. It is the first sign that things are not going smoothly when I find out that the appraisal has not been ordered. The appraiser usually contacts the seller's agent for access to the home. You will order your inspections also. If the seller provides you with inspection reports from reputable companies and you are satisfied with them, then you can save some money. Here are a few inspections you may want to order. 1 whole house. 2 chimney. 3 roof. 4 pest. 5 foundation. 6 sewer lateral. 7 well. 8 septic. 9 pool. 10 mold. 11 boundaries. 12 solar equipment. The list can go on and on. Your whole house inspector can point out areas where they think you should order additional inspections, and some inspectors will do multiple inspections. For example, you may find a company that does a whole house inspection, roof, and pest all for one price. In your contract, you have agreed to a certain time frame for removing your appraisal and inspection contingencies. You want to get the appraisal and all the inspection reports back prior to these deadlines expiring. Chapter 8, The Appraisal. Once the appraisal comes in, you want to ask, did it come in at value and are there any conditions? Traditionally, appraisers will only come in at value or a tiny bit above. You are in contract for $339,000 and the appraiser will probably say that the value is $340,000 when a $360,000 value could be justified. I have seen values come in as high as $30,000 above the contract price, but that is rare. If your appraisal comes in substantially above the contract price, you do not have to disclose this to the sellers. This is none of their business. If they think that they are leaving money on the table, then they just may do everything in their power to kill the deal. The minute you ask for a 3-day extension to close is the day when the seller gives you a 48-hour notice to close or kill the deal. The appraisal might come in at value but may have certain conditions. These can range from replacing a non-operational carbon monoxide detector to getting an engineer's report thanks to a sloping floor. Common little issues can be smoke detectors, self-closing doors from the home to the garage and water heater strapping. It's smart to check all of these things out before time as the appraiser will usually charge for re-inspection. You would write up a repair request form stating that you will remove the appraisal contingency subject to the seller fixing these issues. Another middle-of-the-road issues can be a fence that is falling down or a wooden deck that the appraiser wants to be removed. Hopefully, the seller, you and your realtor registered are prepared for these situations. If the competition is stiff, you may agree to make some required repairs yourself. You need to be very careful and make sure that if you agree to spend your time, effort, and money on something like this, that everything else is set up to close and there is no other reason why the deal may fall through. What if the appraisal comes in low and you have agreed to pay X number of dollars above and beyond the appraised value if it comes in low? Well, you can contest the appraisal. Some people will tell you that contesting the appraisal is a waste of time. It is not a waste of time. You need to get your agent to plead a case. I have been successful at this and you can be too. Here is an example. We were in contract with a condo. The appraisal came in low. I pulled up comps, the same comps that I had pulled when I listed the property for sale. This time I looked at them a bit closer. One of the comps said that a cat lived in the home. I made a note that my listing had no animals living in it and this gave us a better value. Another was right across from the community pool. I contested that since this unit would have more foot traffic, our listing was worth more. As you can, I was grasping at straws and coming up with whatever I could to justify the higher price and somehow it worked. The appraiser increased the price by a few thousand on a $230,000 condo. A 1% increase in price can mean the world to buyers and sellers. Not long afterward, the exact same thing happened in the same condo complex. I tried again but the appraiser would not budge. So, you never know. Now if you did not agree to pay above the appraised value and if the seller agrees to lower the price to the appraised value, then you are in great shape. Chapter 9, The Inspections. If you are purchasing a home with a VA loan, your seller already knows that they must clear a pest report. If not, then you will have to negotiate a pest report clearance. If there is an active infestation, you would be smart to insist that the seller pay to spray for termites, bed bugs or whatever you have found. If the inspector has found major dry rot that you did not even notice and if it looks like further inspections could lead to the discovery of the major problem, then you just may want to stand your ground and insist on the seller taking care of these things. An example can be a loose toilet. Once it is removed, the wood under the flooring could be soaked through, thanks to a long-term leak or maybe run off from the shower that no one ever paid attention to. After opening up the floor, A contractor could find thousands of dollars in the rot that needs to be addressed. It's nice to have the seller take care of this now. You write up a repair request that says you will remove the inspection contingency subject to the seller completing the repairs. If the repairs are simpler than the potential disaster I just spoke of, then you just might want to agree to the seller giving you a closing cost credit instead of doing the repairs. Oftentimes we hear sellers say, "I knew they'd ask for that, I'll just give them $1,000 and be done with it." You are locked into the deal and the seller cannot just kill the deal if you make them angry. So, feel free to ask for what you want. You can always meet in the middle. But what if you discover that this home has some really serious problems and you just want to run away? At this point, you write up the cancellation of a contract and you ask for your deposit back. Unless you have already released all of your contingencies, the seller should not argue with you about returning your deposit, minus any money owed for inspections. They want to sell the home to the next person and will want to get rid of you. At this point, you will have spent hundreds of dollars on the appraisal and on the inspections, so of course, you need to factor that all in. You don't want to spend $1,200 and then kill a deal because the seller won't make a $2,000 repair. Most buyers and sellers are very reasonable and respectful of each other. Oftentimes, it's us real estate agents who get in the middle and make people seem more unreasonable than they really are. Always factor that in and don't take anything personally. People are very often happy to meet in the middle. This is why you should always ask for more than what you really want. What if the seller agrees to conduct some repairs? Oftentimes you will want to insist that a licensed contractor do the work. Sometimes the seller will do the work themselves and everyone will be happy. If a pest company is doing work, many times, repainting or replacing siding or roof shingles is not included, so please read the fine print. There is no rule of thumb about how to proceed. Sometimes, you will be thrilled to get a closing cost credit and sometimes you will be much happier if the seller takes care of some serious issue like replacing the piping that connects your house to the sewer line. Soon you will have a meeting of the minds and you will sign an agreement that says you will close the transaction contingent on X. X being a closing cost credit, repairs being done, a reduction of the sales price or maybe nothing at all. Maybe you are thoroughly satisfied and ready to close. At this point, you will probably be comfortable giving a 30-day notice to your landlord and you may be 2 weeks away from never having a landlord ever again. Chapter 10, The Finish Line. You are going to ask for a tentative close of escrow day. You will have removed all contingencies and your loan officer will have had you sign a closing disclosure which shows you all the costs of the loan and the amount of money you need to take in at the close of escrow. You will have seen this before, but now the numbers will be slightly different. You will sign this and soon closing docs will be ordered. You will want to contact all the utility companies and get water, garbage, gas, and electricity in your name. There may be mailbox keys that you need to get from the seller or from the post office once you close. If you have renter's insurance and utilities in your name at your old place, you need to stop all of that. If the seller has paid for a home warranty, you will want to make sure you have the policy number and the contact info of the warranty company handy as oftentimes something goes wrong right after you move in. Usually, the escrow company does not want to schedule a time for you to sign your closing docs until the docs actually show up. When you get the call to schedule your signing, you usually have a choice to sign at the escrow company or a notary can come and meet you to sign. This costs you extra money but can make life a lot easier for you, especially if you are very busy. If you are on a time crunch, realize that not signing at the escrow company can lose you a day. The day that you sign, you should first do your final walkthrough of the home. Check it out and make sure that ceiling fans, garbage disposals, dishwashers, etc. have not been removed or replaced with inferior items. If you asked for work to be done and you have not checked on it yet, this is the time to confirm that the work was done. The whole idea of the final walkthrough is to make sure that you are closing escrow on the same place that you fell in love with a month ago. This is not the time to make new requests. For example, if a chandelier all of a sudden has a bunch of burnt out, expensive to replace bulbs, then it is fair to ask for those bulbs to be replaced. If you never checked this particular light fixture in the first place, or you knew the bulbs were burnt out 2 weeks ago, then you are too late. If the chandelier is all of a sudden missing, then there is a problem. After you do your walkthrough, you will either sign a form saying that all is good, or you will put any issues in writing. A good idea at this point is not to sign documents at the escrow company until after the seller has agreed to do what you need them to do in writing. At this point, everyone asks, when will I get the keys? To answer this question, find out from your lender or realtor registered when the loan will fund and when the deed will record. One mistake you can make is to allow the loan to fund on a Friday with the deed not recording until Monday. In this scenario, you will be paying interest over the weekend on a house that you are not the owner of yet. If the deed won't record until Monday, it's a good idea to hold off on the funding until Monday. Once the transaction records, the home is yours and you can get your keys. Make sure the sellers have not kept any garage door remote controls. Before you do anything, please change the locks, and it's also a great idea to change the garage door remotes. Congratulations, you have purchased your new home and you have gotten through the hard part. Please give us a call if you have any questions. Chapter 11, Let's start working together. You are just a phone call away from working with our team. If you are already pre-approved for financing, please let us know who you are working with and how to contact them. We'd like to be able to reach out to your loan officer and find out how they would like the financing part of the offer to be written up. We would also like to be able to contact this person the minute you say you want to write an offer, so we can get a pre-approval sent to us. If you are working with cash, please send us proof of funds to share with the seller when we write your offer. If the transaction will be contingent on the sale of another home, please give us all the information you have in regard to that transaction. We will ask for your email address and cell phone number. We respect your time, so we will conduct a most initial conversation via text and email with the expectation that you will tell us where, when, and how you prefer to communicate. We will find out what is your home buying criteria, and we will set up an automatic search while also doing manual searches for you. Our expectation is that you will only go out with us to see homes if you plan on working with us as your representatives. We put a lot of time, effort, and money into you and of course expect you to stick with us. If you need to sell another home and you are not working with an agent, then you came to the right place. We would love to help you sell your home in record time and for top dollar. We would hope that you have high expectations from us, as you can choose to work with anyone, and we'd like to earn your business. We will work with you to price your home for sale with the goal of selling for top dollar and in a timely manner. We will never tell you what to do, but we will tell you our honest opinion. When we market your property, we are contacted via email, text, and phone. We pride ourselves on the ability to respond to inquiries fast and many times instantly. A lot of times we sell to out-of-area buyers who are working with realtors registered who cannot access our lock boxes. We have ways of accommodating these agents. When it's time to let the appraiser in, we like to be there with comps. We like to feel out the situation with the appraiser when they inspect the property, letting you know immediately if there should be a concern. While some agents will tell you that open houses are a waste of time, we have proven to ourselves how valuable they can be for a number of reasons. We also make hundreds of cold phone calls every week to invite people to come to your open house and spread the word to their friends, asking if they would like to pick their new neighbors. Once an offer or offers come in, we like to make the buyers compete for the right to buy your home, hopefully for more than asking price. We like to create a sense of urgency to get you a buyer who will close as fast as possible with fewer demands. As problems arise, we have seen most everything and can handle them, allowing you to go about your business, knowing that we are putting out fires and working behind the scenes to ensure your peace of mind. I highly recommend the Meyer team. Very informative and listen to what you're looking for. They truly know the market. I closed in 30 days of working with them. Martha Hunter. Chapter 12, The Meyer Team. What is the Meyer team? Well, it's more than just a handful of realtors registered who work full-time with your best interests in mind. We also have a transaction coordinator who makes sure that you fill out and sign all the up-to-date disclosures for the sale of your home and that the buyer does the same in a timely manner. There are different regional disclosures that she is familiar with. So, wherever you are, we provide you with the correct disclosures. We work with escrow officers who are experts at keeping on top of each transaction. An escrow officer who is not on top of their game can harm a transaction in big or small ways. Just getting something done a day late could mean that you're closing your transaction on a Monday instead of that Friday you were hoping for. The title companies we work with also help us to market your home in ways described earlier, and I'd love to go over this with you in more detail. We work closely with loan officers who are available early in the morning, on weekends and late at night to do what has to be done to close transactions that lazy lenders might not be able to. Chapter 13, Miscellaneous Information. Condos. In a good market, condos are generally the last to go up in value and they are the first to go down in a bad economy. They have association fees that can be quite expensive, and many condo complexes do not allow FHA financing. You may not care about FHA financing when you buy, but you can limit your number of potential buyers at the time of selling if you cannot accept an FHA buyer. Factor into your payment the monthly HOA cost, and when you purchase the condo there will be some HOA transfer fees that you do not see with a single-family home. Moving into a condo is a lot better than paying rent. If you can't afford a single-family dwelling, then I strongly advise getting a condo. Mobile homes. Some mobile home parks can be pretty nice. Some mobile homes can be very nice. I have sold many mobile homes in one particular subdivision where the homes are bolted to the foundation and attached to 2-car garages with driveways. These homes look just like single-family dwellings, and while the values do not appreciate the way stick-built homes do, they do go up when the rest of the market goes up. Of course, they go down too. For more information, please check out this site that I created just for this one particular subdivision. http://worldmarinegymmeyer.com/ Swimming pools. People spend tens of thousands of dollars in building pools. When it comes time to sell, then the appraiser will usually add no more than $20,000 for the pool. But you may live in a hot climate where everyone has a pool and it can be a detriment not to have a pool. If you are buying a home with a pool, of course, you want to hire a pool inspector, as pool and pool equipment repairs can be quite costly. Also, factor in the cost of maintaining the pool and ask yourself, is it really worth it? Solar. If you are buying a home where the seller wants to transfer their solar lease to you, then you should make sure that you can still qualify for the purchase when factoring in the lease payment. Also, when you go to sell the house, you can limit your options because many people do not want to pay on a solar lease, especially when there are companies offering to put solar on your home for free today. Of course, read the fine print and go into solar with your eyes wide open. Chapter 14, Joining the Meyer Team. If you want to sit around and wait for people to hand you something for nothing, then stop reading. If you are looking to learn more about real estate in 90 days than most people learn in a year, then contact us today. You will be expected to work hard and talk to strangers every day. You will be expected to put your client's best interests ahead of yours. You will receive training, encouragement, and motivation while you establish skills that will turn you into a superstar. Home hunting plan. Find out where you want to live, find out what you can spend, choose a lender, choose a real estate agent, make offers, do inspections, renegotiate, move in. Home buying checklist. The zip code I want to live in. Subdivisions I like. Hashtag of bedrooms I need. Hashtag of bathrooms I need. I want a pool, yes/no. I want solar, yes/no. I am okay with an HOA, yes/no. I want a house, yes/no. I want a condo, yes/no. Shopping needs to be within a minute drive. The type of school that is important to me. I am okay/not okay with the sound of a train. I am okay/not okay with freeway sound. I have checked crime statistics. The neighborhood seems quiet at night, yes/no. I want a home that is no older than years old. I was a first-time home buyer and had no idea what was all involved with purchasing a house. The Jim Meyer team really helped me translate and negotiate what I wanted from the seller, and also call me on something that may sound stupid, my words not his, well maybe, if we asked for that specific thing, but while still rephrasing it to get some wiggle room and a better deal. So, having a master negotiator and deal maker while purchasing a house was so helpful than my trying to figure it out myself. Kyle Starr. Definitions. Acceptance. When there is a meeting of the minds between buyer and seller and the offer or counter-offer is signed by both parties and delivered to both parties. Agreement. The contract that includes the offer of all counters and addenda signed by all parties. CAR form. Real estate contractual forms written by the California Association of Realtors. Close of escrow, CO. The date that ownership is transferred to the buyer and the deed is recorded. Contingencies. A purchase contract will usually stipulate that the sale is contingent on certain contingencies. The most common are inspection, loan, appraisal, sale of another property and title search. Counter-offer. An offer is made. If not rejected, it is countered. There can be numerous backs and forth counters, but once the initial terms are agreed to, then there are no more counter-offers. During the escrow period, the price and terms can be renegotiated with addendums, repair requests, and extensions. Days. The contract refers to calendar days. CO will not occur on a weekend or holiday. Days after refers to the number of calendar days after a specific event ending at 11:59 p.m. Days prior. A specified number of calendar days before an event. Deed and title. The title is a document that proves you own a property. The deed is the legal document that facilitates the transfer of deeds from one party to another. Deliver, delivered, or delivery. Transfer of possession of a real or personal property from one person to another. Disclosure. Sellers must disclose known property defects. There are many disclosure forms that aid in the delivery of such information. An owner should not confuse as is with permission to not disclose. Down payment. This can be anywhere from nothing down with a VA loan to 20% or more with a conventional loan. Generally, the more you put down, the better the interest rate and less likely the chance you will have to pay a mortgage insurance premium. In addition to the down payment, buyers will have to come up with closing costs which they need to factor into their total out-of-pocket buying expenses. Earnest money deposit, EMD. This is money that a buyer puts in escrow to secure a property as they go through their purchase. The money is refundable until the contingencies are all removed. Electronic copy or electronic signature. It means an electronic copy or signature that is applicable or complying with California law. Buyer and seller agree that electronic means will not be used by either party to modify or alter the content or integrity of this agreement without the knowledge and consent of the other party. Escrow. Escrow is an arrangement where a neutral third party facilitates the transaction, taking in a deposit, transferring money from buyer to seller and managing the transaction. Extension. If a buyer needs more time to obtain an appraisal, complete inspections, or get their finances in order, it is not uncommon to ask for an extension. Sellers weigh the facts and often benefit by giving a buyer a little more time. Federal Housing Administration, FHA. The FHA insures mortgage insurance so that qualified buyers can purchase homes with as little as 3.5% down. Good faith estimate, GFE, or closing disclosure. This is a detailed itemization of all the costs associated with the financing of a home, provided by the lender to the borrower. HOA, Homeowners Association. Condo complexes will collect a monthly fee to maintain the common areas, etc. Certain detached home subdivisions have HOAs too. Make sure that you know what the HOA covers and what it costs before you make an offer. Home equity. Equity is the difference between what you owe on your home and what it is worth today. Home inspection. Of all the money a buyer spends, this is probably the best dollar-for-dollar investment. A good inspector will take their time and point out any deficiency the home has to the buyer, explaining if the problems found are major or minor. The inspector will provide a written report with pictures that the buyer can use to renegotiate the price, ask for repairs or a closing cost credit. Home warranty. This is an annual service contract that covers appliance and systems in the home. Oftentimes, a seller or agent will spend the $400 or so, which can be well worth. Law. It means any law, code, statute, ordinance, regulation, rule, or order, which is adopted by a controlling city, county, state, or federal's legislative, judicial or executive body or agency. Lien. When a party says they are owed a debt by the owner of the property, they can place a lien on it. There are both voluntary and involuntary liens. A buyer and seller should find out what liens are attached to the property very early in the transaction. Listing. An agreement that a property owner and a broker enter into whereby the owner contracts with the broker for a specific period of time to sell the property for a commission or fee. Loan originator. A loan originator will qualify a borrower and find a loan product that suits them. Then, the loan will serve the client as they borrow money from a lender to purchase or refinance their home. Multiple Listing Service, MLS. There are roughly 900 MLSs in the US. Agents load a listing onto the service and share it with other agents in specific service areas. Much of the information is not public, such as commission, owner, and tenant phone numbers and alarm codes. Much of the information is public, such as the asking price, home size, and open house times. This public information is usually shared on all the major websites such as Realtor.com, Trulia, and Zillow. Pre-approval and pre-qualification. Pre-qualification gives you an idea of what a buyer can afford. Pre-approval is the next step, means that a borrower has submitted their documentation and is conditionally approved to borrow up to a certain dollar amount. Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, PITI. When figuring out what you need to pay monthly for your home, always ask your loan officer, "What's my PITI?" Add the HOA payment too if you have an HOA. Realtor registered. Realtor registered is a federally registered collective membership mark which identifies a real estate professional who is a member of the National Association of Realtors registered and subscribes to its strict code of ethics. Signed. Signed can mean that a party to the transaction has hand-signed or digitally signed the contract, a copy of the contract or any counterpart of the contract. Short sale. When a homeowner wishes to sell but owes more than the home is worth, they can apply to sell their home short of what is owed. These transactions can take a lot of time to get approved, but once sold the seller has avoided foreclosure on their record. Title insurance. Many potential title defects can arise. Both buyers and lenders obtain title insurance for this reason. VA loan. The Department of Veteran Affairs, VA, offers special mortgages to members of the U.S. military. There are specific rules in regard to what kind of property can be purchased. Walk through. You are almost ready to close escrow. The buyer walks through the property making sure all is as it should be. It's too late for the buyer to make any new demands unless they discover that something about the property has changed. Examples: ceiling fans have been replaced with cheaper ceiling fans, a tree has fallen on the roof, or a carpet has been torn out. Client review. I am a former client of Jim Meyer's, and now a good friend. I bought my home in World Marine in American Canyon in 2015. I was driving through the park and saw a couple of for sale signs. The first realtor did not even bother to call me back, but Jim did. We met up the next day and he showed me a house that did not even have a for sale sign posted. I ended up making an offer the next day. Jim was so easy to work with, not at all pushy but a very relaxed man. He really was very easy to deal with, letting me in at various times so I could take measurements, etc. Mind you, it is not easy for him to get around, but he did not let that stop him. The realtor that had the listing was not very accommodating, and after a few calls to her, he told her to do your job. He managed to get me a few extra deals on the home even though it was sold as is. The fences were in horrid conditions and he wrote it up in the contract to be replaced, which they were. I would definitely give him the sale of my home if I were going to list it, which I am not, but who knows what the future holds. Jim Meyer is honest, dependable, hardworking, always there for you, definitely calls you back, and I truly make friends with the majority of his clients. So, feel assured you will be in good hands with his team whether buying or selling your home. Out of a score of 10, I would give him a 12, and he also has open houses, whatever it takes to get it sold. Jamie Schwefel. Author's contact information. For more information, feel free to contact us at any time.